Okay, first of all, I'd like to kick things off by saying a big congratulations to Nick and Connie, who are now officially married. Now, I know it's not the big Rome wedding, and it's not the official best man speech, but Blake and I have played enough B-team cricket to know what this feels like.
It's no secret that I can find these things quite nervy, but I was relieved when I found I would have the emotional support of my good friend Tom. The fact that he makes me look like a giant was just an added bonus. I'm actually only 5'5".
Bastard.
We are, however, going to make this, keep this speech short and sweet, just like you, Tom. Because speeches can be quite tedious. Just wait, you've got Jonties in 5 months' time. Jokes aside, I think it's important to start by saying how beautiful the bride is tonight.
Yeah.
So beautiful that Nick's actually marrying her twice. And how beautiful you are too, Nick. I wouldn't want you to feel left out.
Now, I get the impression this speech is a bit of a test today. Nick did say to me if I do a good job, I could be his official best man at all of his future weddings. It was a joke. Now, I didn't know Nick whilst he was growing up, but luckily that didn't start until he was 28. Me, on the other hand, I'm 31 and apparently still growing. Hopefully.
After returning from the 2013 Lions tour in Australia, Nick and I were still living at home, ready to leave the nest and finally reach long-awaited maturity. We thought the best possible way to achieve this was by moving in together. It wasn't. Quite fittingly, our digs were the old, recently renovated Carrington's nightclub. When you live with someone for a few years, you become pretty comfortable with them. And unfortunately, I saw every millimetre of Nick. And ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm that Connie's with him for his personality.
In 2012, our friendship really blossomed. And by blossomed, I mean refusing to meet up at all. Back in the day, our ex-girlfriends religiously persuaded us to meet up, and we were both adamant that we wouldn't get on. Being very stubborn, we continued to stand our ground, ignore our ex-girlfriends. After more consideration, we tactically waited until we were both single, until we became friends. At least we didn't admit we were wrong.
They say never meet your heroes, but Nick met me on the first day of Year 7 at Ashville College Memorial Gardens. Unfortunately, this was a scheduled, organised fight between the both of us. I can't quite recall how he got to this point, but I was a little relieved when I saw him. To give a little bit of background, Nick matured rather late, much later than a typical Year 7, and in fact looked closer to a baby gazelle. It wasn't that I'd matured early, it was that I was more interested in biscuits than I was of girls, and I looked the size of an elephant. It was quite a mismatch on paper. Little did I know that this baby gazelle had recruited the only other person our year who could possibly rival my BMI. His name was Henry Price, and he soon put me in my place. After Henry pushed me over, I soon faked an injury and ran off to the nurse's area, claiming I heard a crack in my neck. Thankfully, this quick thinking got me out of what would have been a bloodbath. Since the moment, I've manipulated myself into Nick's friendship group, hoping that one day he would make me best man at his wedding, and I could finally get my own back. Nick Edward Taylor, elephants don't forget.
So I'd like to interject with a quick toast. If you could all raise a glass to Jess, Connie's maid of honour, and the bridesmaids here today, Rebecca, Chelsea and Marie, who all look stunning this evening. Yay! A special mention to Sarah, who's currently abroad but joining us in Rome.
Woo!
Now, it's fair to say Nick's played a lot of cricket over the years. It's fair to say he's had a very good innings, haven't you, buddy? A few diamond ducks, a few centuries.
Lots of slogging. Plenty of finger spinning.
A good amount of ball tampering.
Apparently he loves a full toss.
He did keep it quite local. That's called village cricket.
He didn't usually open the batting, but he loves a one-night international.
In fact, I think that's why they call it quick cricket. But it seems like he's retired.
With a hell of a catch.
Agreed, he's got himself a keeper. Where's Rob? For those that don't know, Nick's brother Rob is a policeman, and we've learned he's a very good detective. This all came about when I decided to wake up at 5 a.m. on April Fool's Day to drive Nick's car out of the estate and hide it around the corner. I walked back home, got in my car, drove to work, and at 7 a.m. I sent Nick a text saying, "I've heard the news, there's some multiple car thefts going around in Panel." After looking out of his window to see his car was missing, he instantly panicked and rang his brother. Being the smart detective Rob is, he told Nick to check today's date, go to work and stop wasting police time.
Nick and I have been on many trips from San Francisco, New York,
San Diego, Los Angeles,
Miami, Melbourne,
Albufeira, Ayia Napa, Lisbon, Porto Pollensa,
Sydney and Brisbane, to name a few. But none of them can quite rival any of the 5 trips we've taken to Las Vegas.
Uh-oh.
I bet you're shitting yourself now, aren't you, buddy? Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about your 3-in-1-day conquest or anything like that. or falling in love with that wildebeest at the MGM Wet Republic pool party. I couldn't possibly talk about these revolting moments because this is a family occasion and I've already booked my hotel in Rome. I only brought Las Vegas up because I wanted to mention how many wonderful meals we had and the fantastic experience we gained at the most cultural street in the world, the Las Vegas Strip. Nowhere else in the world can you see the pyramids of Giza, the Eiffel Tower, the gondolas of Venice, and the strip clubs of Blackpool, all within 200 metres of each other. These were some of the trips of our lives, and I think it would be remiss of me not to mention the fellow Padres, Tom, Jonty, and Stevie, who I'm sure will be a little bit smarter than asking us to do their best man speech in the future.
Nick's always liked to be the tough one of our group. He was forever shadowboxing in his bedroom mirror and telling us about his rough upbringing in the slums of Sheffield. But unfortunately for him, 3 bouts of heartburn and 1 very expensive sleep in Ayia Napa Hospital really put a damper on his tough guy persona. Buckle up.
Oh God, this is the best bit.
Now, I'd like to mention a tall blonde who Nick used to live with, but he no longer lives with anymore. Jill Taylor, you look fantastic this evening. I'm sure you'll all agree.
I was so excited about that.
I was actually chatting to Connie's mum earlier, and she was saying how it doesn't seem like yesterday since she was sending Connie to bed with a dummy. Well, it's funny how history repeats itself.
Now on to the happy couple. I remember extremely accurately the first time I heard of Connie. Nick and I were at the gym curling 100 kg dumbbells, training for our Abercrombie shoot, and he opened one of his 200 dating apps and passed me his phone. He said, You're right, Blake. Look how fit this girl is. That's my Nick impression. I responded by saying, I'm ever so sorry, Nick. I have a girlfriend. I won't be goggling over other girls. In fact, I'm offended that you would even ask. But she looks lovely, intelligent, and kind. Turns out she was. Very accurate and true story, everybody. This did happen. This was our Connie, and things soon became very serious and led us to this very special occasion today.
I just want to say, what an amazing looking couple. Some may say Nick is punching, although the last time I saw him punching, he got splatted by a group of 16-year-olds. It's a joke. Andy, your son is a rarity. I mean, let's be honest. Could you imagine giving me or Blake your construction company to run? I can't run a bath, and Blake can't construct a sentence, let alone a building. He does a good Stephen Hawkins impression, though.
Ha ha.
Nick, I managed to get hold of some of Yorkshire Cricket Club players, and I've got a message from them. Hey Nick, we're sorry not to make it here today. I know you tell people you regularly played for Yorkshire, but you didn't, and you definitely didn't get paid. Connie, good luck. We found him useless in most positions, but hopefully you'll have better luck with him tonight.
Now we're on to the kind bit. I think it's important to say that Nick and Connie deserve the world and make the best couple. They both have each other's back and are clearly deeply in love. I think I can speak for everybody when I say we are so happy you guys can begin the rest of your lives together.
It was only right to take this opportunity as your best mates to give you some stick during our speech. However, here's the reality. Nick is very generous, kind, intelligent, and he brings out the best in people around him. Annoyingly good looking, and 6'2", which definitely has its downsides for me. Connie, you're one lucky lady. But he's also one lucky man. There are things you do for him that Blake and I never will. But no, it's a real testament. Over the last 10 years of knowing Nick, I've never seen him this happy. So I've got you a little something which I thought was rather appropriate to give you today. It's my old house key.
I'll let you have it back.
Alright, deal.
You've always got a place at the house.
So to conclude, guys, I'd like everybody to raise a glass for the handsome Nick and beautiful Mrs. Taylor. Bash!